I'm excited to chat with Nina Manolson today on the Awaken Feminine podcast. Nina is a body peace coach. Her work is all in service of helping people get off the diet roller coaster and into a compassionate and powerful way of eating and living, which creates a positive, long-lasting change in and with their bodies. Her courses, coaching, and poetry positively change the conversation that women are having with their body. She also writes body poems, which I'm really interested about, as a way to encourage a shift in the way we talk to and about our body. And I know she has so much love and wisdom to share with us today. She's joining me all the way from Boston, Massachusetts in the USA. Welcome to the show, Nina.
Kathy, it's delightful to be here with you.
Yeah, I'm excited for our conversation because I'm getting to an age where bodies are changing, and I know you kind of specialize in that. So I'm very interested and I'm excited to talk to you and learn from you, really. But before we dive into that conversation, I always love to ask my guests a question, and that is, what's your definition of an awakened feminine?
So for me, the way I often think about it is in an archetypal psychology way. So in archetypal psychology, we have different stages of the feminine, right? We have the princess, queen, crone, right? Princess is, what do you think of me? Tell me what you think of me, validate me, right? It's from the outside in, right? Are my clothes good enough? Am I good enough, right? We move into a place of queen, which is, no, I know who I am. I come from that internal, deep knowing place, and I am not dependent on you for my validation to know who I am, right? So there's an awakening that happens in that stage where we own our own wisdom. That is so important to step into. And this is where it gets into what you were talking about, is as we age, our culture is saying, no, you need to look like you did when you were, 21, and you should fit in the same jeans that you fit in when you were 21 too, right?
Yeah.
And so our culture is saying, no, go back to princess stage. You need to hustle and prove your worthiness. And actually, there's so much wisdom in that queen stage that happens for many women, late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, right? Then we move into crone, which is a whole other fabulous stage of, just like, this is who I am. Like, this is it. I have wisdom. I am the wise woman. But I think of the awakened feminine, that it happens right there in that queen stage where we go, you know what? I have a knowing, and that knowing is a gift to myself and to everybody who's around me. And it's up to me to own my own knowing, because it's from that place that I can best serve.
I love your definition. You're the first guest that I've had where, you've talked about this princess to queen to crone, and such a interesting but profound way to put it, because I can see the images of the princess going to the queen and going to the crone. So yeah, I love that definition. Thank you for sharing that with us. And yeah, totally agree with, as you get older, you get to that, this is who I am and I'm comfortable with my own skin stage. Yeah.
Yes. So what you're saying is very interesting. I'm comfortable in my own skin, right? That's what we want. But unfortunately, it's not what many women feel, because they've had a lifetime of dieting, right? A lifetime of being told that in order to be more powerful, attractive, have more sense of, agency, you're supposed to be in a small body.
Yeah.
And so because of that pressure, there's a sense of, oh gosh, I really need to work on my body, right? I need to go on the next diet. I need to, be in what I call body management all the time. And when we're in body management, always the night before thinking, oh, tomorrow I'm going to eat such and such and such a way, right? Tomorrow I'll start this new diet. Oh, I blew it already. I'll start on Monday, the Monday diet, right? Or,
Yeah.
oh, I'm such a failure. I can't believe I did this again, right? When we're in that dynamic, we definitely don't feel at home in our own skin.
Mm. And I'm guilty of that for sure as well. I think, like you said, most women are, because we've been programmed to look a certain way. I mean, look at social media, look at, movie stars, media in general. That's the image that's portrayed. You have all your beautiful models and actresses who look absolutely gorgeous, but that's, the very few percent that look like that at the different stages in their lives, always still looking perfect and manicured, when, the real women out there are so many different shapes and sizes.
Right. And it's really important when we're looking at those women who are, at the Met Gala or on the movie screen, or all the places where we're getting all these images of what a woman, and I'm putting this in quotes, should look like, right? It's important to realize that they have been created into a commodity.
Yes.
They have been objectified. And so in order to be powerful, in order to be popular, in order to make money, they have to conform to this beauty ideal, right? And it shifts the focus of what really, like if we're talking about awakened women, really, is that really what's going to awaken us and give us a sense of shift in our culture and have women step into their power? Like how thin you can be for the dress. I know that's not true.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think even with the women's body images, I don't think that standard was set by women.
It was not.
Yeah. And we as women should stand up for what we stand for as, in terms of body image and what that really looks like, rather than letting another gender set what women should look like and what look is supposed to be, what's pretty and what's beautiful,
Well, you're speaking to where we get caught in this patriarchal society of men dictating what women should look like in order to please them. Right? Now, do I get up and put lipstick on and, jewelry on in the morning to please men? No, I like it. It's fun. To me, it's play, right? It's a delight. And it's in sort of a place of perspective for me, right? I don't feel like, oh my gosh, my worth, I cannot go out of the house without lipstick on, right? I don't feel that way. I don't feel like my worth is based on my appearance, right? When our worth is tied up to how we look, we will never have body peace.
Yeah.
It's really important to get that. Right? It's not that we don't get value from feeling like we, are taking care of ourselves or look in a way that feels in alignment. But if our only place of worth is on our size, we're always going to be in that struggle. We're always going to be in the war with our body.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Nina, do you mind talking a bit more about body peace? Because you're a body peace coach. Maybe if you can tell us exactly what body peace coach means and how why you do what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest way to talk about body peace is actually to talk about body hate, because unfortunately we know that so well. So body hate is, I go by the mirror and I'm like, oh, my thighs, ooh, too big. Body hate is looking in the mirror and getting dressed in the morning and going, oh, if I could only just lose the weight, right? Body hate is, I can't believe I just ate that. I wish I hadn't eaten that. Body hate is walking into a room and looking at all the other women and going, oh, who's bigger, who's smaller, doing the comparison, right? Am I bigger than her? Am I bigger than her? Who has the most, power in this room because of their size, right? That's body hate. And body hate keeps us caught in this cycle of dieting and shame, right? And so the diet cycle looks like, I want to look different. I'm in this place of body hate. I want to manage my body. Really need to do something. So I go on a diet. Great. The diet goes great. Usually it does for 2 weeks, 2 months, right? But the reality is 95% of people who go on diets gain their weight back, if not more, in 2 to 5 years. So some people can make it, 2 months, 2 years, but eventually that sense of restriction doesn't feel good. And we don't know why we're sitting in front of the box of cookies or eating the whole cake or, nibbling in hiding out of the pantry or cabinet, and eating handfuls of chocolate chips, right? Like people are like, I don't understand. So that's in the diet cycle. We get to this place of like release. I'm tired of restriction. I want release, right? Then right on the heels of that comes shame. I can't believe I blew it again. I cannot believe I did this. I feel so bad. I failed again.
Yeah.
Then we stay there and then we're like, okay, so what's the next diet? Should I do paleo or raw or keto or Weight Watchers or, right? Like the list is endless. And the diet industry is a $72 billion industry. So there's a lot of money coming our way telling us that the only way to be in our body is to manage it. And that's not true. And that is not the state of an awakened woman. Right? So body peace is I eat and I know how to stop. I listen to my body. I can detect and sense my satiety, my fullness, my hunger. I don't wait all day and just be like, oh, I'm too busy to eat. No, I actually honor my body. When I'm tired, I actually stop instead of, oh, let me just do more coffee and chocolate and keep that train rolling. Let's keep rolling here, right? Body peace is a relationship that's based on honoring and respect and supporting this amazing vessel that we live in.
Yeah, we only have that one vessel. And you just reminded me of the quote, your body is your body is a temple.
Yes.
And I remember having this conversation with my husband and he was going, someone said that to me. I had no idea what they meant until until later on when he kind of started into his health and wellness and, our personal development journey. Then he's like, oh, I totally get it now. We really need to look after our bodies because that, if we don't have our health, then really nothing else really matters. And so what you're talking about really is being in tune with your body, being intuitive as well with how to interact with our body. Is that?
So I love the words you used, right? Attuned and intuitive. Right?
Yeah.
They're both tuned in, right? We're tuned into this relationship. So just like if you imagine somebody walks in the room and you care about that person, you go up to them and go, hey, how you doing? Right? Instead of, I don't want to deal with you. You're just too needy. Right? A lot of the women that I work with often, they joke, they've said, I feel like I live next door to my body. I'm like, oh, she should go exercise. Oh, she should eat this thing. She like this body over there. Right?
Yeah.
But it's like, no, this is us. How do we connect in and be that really great relationship partner with our own body? And the reality is we were never taught this.
Yeah.
We were never taught this. In fact, as women, we were told and taught and trained into overriding, right? I've worked with many nurses and I'm like, let's talk about peeing. They're like, oh no, there's no time to pee during the day. Right? It's like that. And the nurses are extreme because they're running patient to patient. but it's not that dissimilar. When I talk to women, I'm like, so like peeing, drinking water, eating, stopping. Like, no, I have so much to do. I just have to keep going. And so their body gets sort of dragged with them.
Mm.
And we were never taught to be in a place of, okay, wait, this body deserves to be listened to attentively, right? Often when I ask women, how are they start talking about their children.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we've been trained to be attuned to other people more than ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? When I say, how are you? They can tell me how their partner is, how their children are, how their family, extended family is. How are you? Oh, me, huh? I guess I'm okay, right? Like themselves are not on the radar.
Yeah.
So body peace is about how do you create this relationship? Because when we have a relationship, that's what creates sustainability in terms of nourishment. And we get off of that roller coaster.
Yeah. I love that the work that you do is not just centered around, when people think about body, it's just like the appearance of the body, but you're going really deep into, our emotional states, our energetic states as well as the physical. So it is like the body, mind, spirit connection and working on that as a whole package rather than just going, hey, you need to go on a diet and just do exercise and that's it. And you're taken care of, when there's all these other things going on and it's not just the physical. So I love that's what you're doing.
Absolutely. Because if we don't, we start, our body starts yelling at us, right? When we're managing our body, okay, you do this and you do that and you do this. Nobody likes to be told that. And eventually it goes like, I'm not cooperating. And then our body starts to have pain or have symptoms. And we go, what? I don't understand what's happening, because our body has to start yelling to get our attention. So our body speaks, right? Our body's always communicating with us. One way I'd like to think about it is our body's always sending tweets, Instagram messages, Facebook posts, right? It's constantly communicating, always.
Yeah.
And we're going, oh, no. I don't want to listen to you, right? You're tired, you're hungry, you're sad, you're angry, right? Our feelings are in our body, right? So we go, no, I don't want to feel. And then we start eating our sadness and eating our anger and not feeling like we're on our own side. We're not an ally for ourselves.
So interesting. Nina, have you always had interest in this work, or how did you, become a body peace coach?
Yeah. The way I became a body peace coach is that I had a terrible relationship with my body. I grew up in Montreal, and there's a saying, "Je me sens bien dans ma peau." It means I feel good in my skin. It's a French saying. And I heard it and I was like, I have no idea what the heck they're talking about. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, because I don't. From 9, I was on a diet.
Wow.
Right? So my whole life was this struggle with my body and trying to be thinner and trying to be in a body that literally I do not have. Right? When I grew up, the beauty ideal was tall, blonde, and thin. I am none of the above. I will never be any of the above. Right? It's just not my heritage of my body. Like, that's not who I am. And yet that drove me, I need to be this thing. So this idea of struggling my whole life with my body seemed pretty grim. And so I started my own journey, right? I started my own journey of getting into yoga to try to actually listen, to try to actually feel my body. And this was before yoga became a fitness thing. It was when yoga was more of a awareness practice. And then I became a body worker. So I did massage. And in doing massage every day with women, I was like, you know what? All our feelings are in this body. This is not just muscles and ligaments and tissue and blood. This is a whole system of so many feelings, so many memories in our body.
Yeah.
And so it was from there that when I was a body worker, I said to a supervisor of mine, I said, I feel like I'm doing therapy with people. And she said, you are. And so I went back to school, got a master's in counseling, and became a therapist. But I was still struggling with food. And I had little kids. And I was like, you know what? This has got to stop. My mother was a dieter. I was like, this has got to, like, we got to end this cycle. And so I went back to school for nutrition. And so I was like looking for answers. So then once I had the nutrition piece and I had the counseling piece and I had the body work piece, the somatic piece, I was like, these all go together. These all belong together, because I could sit in therapy for years, which I did, to try to work out the food stuff, and it didn't work. I could be on the yoga mat and be in a somatic experience forever and try to work out the food stuff. I could try to manage everything I ate and try to work out my relationship with food, but none of them did it. But when I brought them all together, this is what I call the nourishment dynamic, right? When I brought them all together, I was like, oh, now I see. People are changing. And so the work started to evolve from that place of, as you said, we are a whole being and we have to honor ourselves as such.
Yeah, that is, yeah, wow, what a journey. I think it's actually so common for women to fall into that, not loving our body, like, we mentioned it before. And I love how you discovered that, you needed the three pieces of the puzzle or to unlock, the body piece and, to get women or get yourself to really be at peace with their bodies. I want to ask you, Nina, because, when I was reading through about you, you help women over 40 feel at home in their bodies. And I was telling you before we hit record that I'm turning 40 in like 25 days. So I was like, oh, I want to know, because I've never been a dieter as such. I do definitely have that program of, I need to be a certain size to look good or feel good. But I do tend to do intuitive like eating. I'll be like, okay, I'll cut back a bit now, but not diet as such. So I know going over 40, then there's also the hormonal
changes.
Yeah, I'm like there.
Sure.
Can't say, coming. Yes. And more body changes coming. So I really love for you to maybe talk a bit about the over 40 and feeling at home.
So the one thing I want to start with is that there's 2 times in a woman's life that we're most vulnerable to disordered eating. And that is coming into fertility and leaving fertility. So if you think about it, coming into fertility, our bodies change dramatically. It's normal and healthy and required for young girls to put on a bunch of weight, to actually for their bodies to start having a period, for them to evolve into a stage of fertility in their life. That dramatic change is scary. And it can often be like, well, wait a second, my body was so small over there. And, my dance teacher is telling me I should be that size. And my gym teacher is telling me I should be that size. So let me control. So one time of vulnerability is coming into fertility. Now, I'm not saying these are the only times. I'm just saying these are big, big alarm times to really be aware. The other time is leaving fertility, right? Perimenopause, menopause, because again, it is normal. It is required. It is healthy for our body to go through changes at this time. And our culture says, oh, no, 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 no. Stay like the way you were when you were 21, right? Get back to that pre-baby body, right? And it is normal. We have been through changes, right? We've either been through, pregnancy or motherhood in some other way, or we've been through infertility, or we've been through surgeries, or we've been through illnesses. Our bodies have walked a journey and a half, right? And then we're saying, no, 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 no changes for you, even though you're going through a big cycle change, right? A huge hormonal shift. So I want to just sort of open this conversation by saying it's a vulnerable time.
Yeah.
Right? All to say it's a vulnerable time, and to go, okay, how do I want to do this? How do I want to be in relationship to a changing body? So this is really important, right? All bodies change. All bodies change. It is a fact of life, right? So when we're in our head going, no, 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 I got to go back to that body, it's important to say to yourself, no, no, no. All bodies change. We evolve, right? As my mother, who's 90, says, you age if you're lucky.
True.
Right? Whereas our culture, so remember I said the diet culture is a $72 billion industry. The anti-aging business industry is twice that. It's insane. It's insane, right? The pressure on us to stay youthful, right? So let's go back to the very beginning. We were talking about princess, queen, and crone.
Yeah.
Right? A culture is telling us, oh no, keep being a princess. There's not a lot of power in that one, right? The power in princess is, what do you think about me? That's not an awakened woman. We want to be that queen. We want to be that crone, and how we step into it. So there's a term that I coined called being body current. And it's a good piece to come back to over and over, which is, okay, what's happening in my current body? Right? This is what's happening. This is my current body. And to notice when I'm trying to have the later body, oh, well, the wedding this summer, I'm gonna, diet and to fit into that dress, right? Or the past body, right? The future body and the past body. Past body, oh, but look at that picture of when we were on vacation and, I was so slim and I want that past body. Those are not your current body. The most powerful thing we can do is be in relationship with current body. What does this body on this day need? It's interesting. There's so much pressure on changing our body and body management. And there was a client I had we were talking about it, and she said, oh my gosh, I feel like I've been in an abusive relationship with myself for 30 years. And I was like, kind of. Like, that's kind of what's happened. Like, that's what we've been trained into, to be bossy, to shame ourselves, to push, to expect more, right? It's not how we would treat anybody we really cared about.
Yeah. I think the shame part is such a big emotion that women can't seem to let go of. The guilt and the shame. You talk about mum guilt even. I've got two young kids, so having the mum guilt, and then you feel shame about your body because it doesn't look the way it used to. And those are such dense energies that you're holding on to. And what you're saying that is that, our bodies tell us our emotions. We have to listen to it. And if we're feeling anything that's uncomfortable, it's like, listen to it. And it's probably all the shame and the guilt that we put upon ourselves. No wonder we're like tired and exhausted, and then we're carrying extra weight because we're holding on to it energetically.
So it's interesting, this idea of being in a relationship with our body that isn't shame filled, right? There's so much. And so it's important to be able to recognize. I always say, put a sticker on it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my shame. That's my shame that my body, oh, there's my shame. It's one of the reasons over the years of me doing my work that I've moved. I still work with some clients individually, but mostly I work with groups because shame cannot, this is Brene Brown said this, shame cannot survive in light.
Yes.
So when we say it out loud, oh my gosh, I'm so ashamed of my body, it loses its potency. So one of the reasons that I work with groups of women is that they are able to hold each other's shame and reflect it back. And then we can go, why am I holding this shame?
Yeah.
Like, but when it's in our brain all by ourselves, in our, waking up or weighing ourselves every single morning, which people do, which I'm so sorry that happens, right? As a way to shame themselves every single day into managing their body, right? So to be in a place where we can unpack that shame is so healing.
Yeah, I love that, what you're saying with speaking it out. It's like being able to let go of that attachment to that story that we're telling ourselves.
Yes.
And it's so beautiful when, I think in a group setting, when you can do that, it's other people can then go, oh, she just spoke it out loud what I think. I can do the same. So that's so powerful. Yeah.
One of the things I find across the board is that when women get into groups is they go, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only one. Right? I thought I was the only one sneaking candy in the pantry. I thought I was the only one who felt bad about myself walking in a room, right? And it's not. It's partly why I write body poems, is so that because we don't have a language for this. Women don't talk about it. And so part of it is to shine a light on some of these dynamics, and sort of so people can go, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yes, that's me.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this in a gracious way. I'm being called out, really.
Yeah.
So one thing that just makes me think, there's a poem that I wrote recently. It's my most recent poem called Bigger Than Her. And when I put it out on social media, everybody was like, oh my gosh, this is me. So I'm wondering
I'd love to. I was going to ask you, and then you must have read my mind about asking you about the body poem. So yes, please do. Yeah.
So this one's called Am I Bigger Than Her? And it's about, what it's about is body comparison, right? And that idea of how we are, that shame that we hold inside of ourselves. Okay, am I bigger than her? Am I bigger than her? I ask my husband as a woman passes on the street. Am I bigger than her? I ask myself as I walk into the room, measuring up all the women. Am I bigger than her? I look at a picture of younger me, a memory on Facebook from years ago. Am I bigger than her? I'm asking, am I less attractive, less powerful, less likable, less worthy than her? Comparing myself to her size and her size and her size. If I'm bigger than her, then I'm less than her. If I'm smaller than her, then I'm more than her. And her size and her size and her size. My self-worth going up and down with each comparison, scoring points in a game against myself. There's always someone bigger and always someone smaller. There's no winning this game. It's just reducing women to their size. Aren't we bigger than that?
I love that poem. And yes, I totally resonate with it because that's also me. Yeah, it's so powerful, so beautiful.
It's so many of us. That's the problem, right? That's the problem, that we walk in and we like somehow our body becomes our worth and our size becomes our worth. It doesn't have to be that way. That's if there's anything I can convey, it's that it doesn't have to be that way. That if any woman is struggling in this relationship or feeling bad about themselves, it's an energy drain. It's a waste of our power, our wisdom, our awakening.
Yeah.
And we don't have to stay in that struggle.
Yes. And I think like for someone like me, I'm aware of it now. So when I catch myself doing it, I'm like, oh, don't do that. That's just being silly. Right.
Yes.
But when you're not aware, it's just this constant drain, like you're saying, because you just do it. It's just automatic. You don't even think it's anything wrong because it's just normal.
Right. That's it. And it's so interesting. You see that often too when women get together and start talking about their diets and start criticizing themselves with each other. They think that's normal.
Yeah.
It's not. It is not normal. It is it's disordered eating. It's a disordered relationship with your body.
Yeah.
Right. So just like I often think of myself as a therapist for women in their body. So just like if your relationship with your partner was having difficulties or going through a rocky time, you'd be like, let's go to a therapist. Let's see if we can work this relationship out and find some tools to make it so that we're communicating better. Right.
Yeah.
But women tolerate feeling bad about their body every day. That's not a relationship that works or that supports you. And it doesn't have to be that way. So, when I'm on a plane and people, what do you do? And body peace coach means absolutely zero to them. I'm like, I'm a therapist and I do therapy with women and their bodies.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, right. Then they can understand it because that's the work.
Yeah.
It's, it's work around how do we be in allyship, be on our own side, be connected to ourselves.
I just love everything that you do, and it's so interesting. And thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. It's been such a fun and so much information to process. I love it. Thank you so much. I want to ask you, Nina, because I'm just aware of the time and I don't want to keep you, having gone, seeing so many clients and going through your own journey, what's like that one key piece of advice you would give people to really start being at peace with their body?
Yeah. So it's a longer technique, but I want to give you the first piece of my hello technique, which is just try it on during the day. Try hello body, right? Just like you were walking into a room and you'd go, hi, Kaki, right? Hi, Nina. You would greet someone, right? You would acknowledge their existence.
Yeah.
So just what we're trying to do as a very first step on the body peace path is create a relationship, create contact. How do we do that in a very civil kind ways? We say hello. So really trying that when you sit down for breakfast, lunch, dinner, when you're, about to crawl into bed, when you go to the bathroom and pee, like when you're washing your hands, anytime.
Yeah.
Hello, body. And just see what comes up. What we're trying to do is open the door to this relationship. We're trying to start communication because most of our communication with our body is you should be this way. Hello opens like, oh, I'm interested. I'm interested in a different connection, a different way. And there's a couple of good free resources on my website. One is the hello technique, but the other is a really wonderful practicing body peace journal. And in it has a few of my poems, but it has questions that start to get into what is this relationship with your body? How do I describe my relationship with my body? What do I say to my body? Right? So we can start to unpack what the current relationship is. So the way that I have it is that there's a poem, but then there's different questions that are inspired by the poem to invite you into an inner inquiry about your relationship with your body.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Nina, for sharing that. And I want to ask you one last question before we wrap up. What's currently setting your soul on fire?
It's a great question. Honestly, there's a couple of things. One is I have this interesting relationship with movement in my life. I like to do different things. So last year I got a wetsuit. So I've started cold water swimming. And then most recently I got this sort of rope thing, and I'm doing these rope flow. I'm terrible at it, and I'm just starting. So I just like to sort of invite my body into play. Because of my diet background, exercise and movement can feel like I'm trying to make something happen versus play or being outside or getting into cold water and swimming, and those kind of things feel more delightful. So that's what's exciting me these days.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Nina. I've just really enjoyed our conversation. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. If people want to find out more about you or how they can work with you, where should they go?
So the best place is ninamanolson.com. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. Those are the best places to find me. Yeah.
Perfect. I'll have all your details in the show notes so people can find you and reach out. Thank you once again. Thank you so much for your time.
Kaki, thank you so very much.